It is a massive day tonight. It is England against Scotland in Wembley Stadium. Robert Grieve of the Scottish Sun is with us. Good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning, how are you?
Good now. So I presume the mood in the camp has been quashed somewhat by what's happened in that Czech Republic game, the madness of the result, the madness of Schick's second goal. What's the last couple of days been like?
All very Scottish is what the last couple of days have been like. It's been typical Scotland, hasn't it? We got our bubble burst slightly in that first game. Everyone was so up for the game back in the tournament where we all wanted to be, and then 90 minutes in and it's all doom and gloom again. Listen, it is what it is. We didn't get the result we wanted in that first game. Things went against us. I don't think we played that badly, but things went against us. We could have been better in certain areas and things could have gone a little bit differently, but hopefully we've learned for what happened in that first game against the Czech Republic and we can go into Wembley tonight with a bit of optimism, hopefully.
You say there that it's very Scottish for that sort of result to happen. It's kind of hard to separate that from tonight as well, and 96 and the madness of that specific encounter as well. That has been the life of a modern Scottish fan, I presume, going to a tournament and expecting crazy things to happen.
Yeah, we don't need to keep going on about 96, by the way, because we've had it rammed down our throats from certain quarters for the last few weeks and certainly the last few days. It seems like you can't turn on a television without seeing Paul Gascoigne flick the ball over Colin Henry's head and ram it into the net. Listen, yeah, a lot of it's been building up to this game. You know yourself, Scotland-England, the rivalry involved in this fixture, whatever had happened in the first game, whatever had happened against the Czech Republic, this was going to be the game that a lot of fans, most fans, are going to be looking to. So I think almost regardless of what happened in that game on Monday, you know, it's this game in its own right, it was going to be massive for us. So, and I'm down in London for the last couple of days. There's a lot of fans here, probably more Scotland fans than maybe be expected and anticipated. So, you know, people are very much looking forward to this game. So we just have to hope that things go our way. We get a little bit of the rub of the green. But you're right, it's Scotland-England. We think back to 96. We think back to 2017 when Lee Griffiths scored a couple of decent free kicks. If we get a little bit of magic like that, I mean, as I say, a lot of people are going on at Paul Gascoigne magic. Hopefully, someone in a dark blue jersey can come up with a little bit of Lee Griffiths type magic, and we can get a result that keeps us in the tournament and keeps the hopes alive.
Has anyone in the Scotland camp done a Phil Foden and dyed their hair blonde? No.
No, we've not got that in us. We've not got that in us. We've got a bit of sensible heads in there. Listen, that was good for Foden, reminding of Gascoigne. And that kind of bleach blonde look, but no, I don't, thankfully not that I know of anyway. There may be a few surprises. Maybe somebody will turn up, but
so
tonight.
You say you've been in London for the last little while. I presume that the mood in England is that Scotland are there for the taking, given that they would have seen Croatia as maybe their toughest opposition.
You get that impression, don't you? But equally, I mean, I don't know about yourself, but England were decent in that first game. I thought they played well, but I was quite disappointed or quite surprised in how Croatia kind of let them play. Certainly second half kind of backed off them. I think we were expecting more from Modric and the Croatians. It didn't quite come. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of progress in their two other games. But England were decent in the first game. I think there was a little bit of kind of over the top kind of promotion of them. They're a good side. They've got quality players all over the pitch, in their squad, on the bench. I don't think there's any doubt they've got better players in Scotland, but equally that's always been the case, and we've always given them a game. So it'll be tough tonight. It's going to be a tough game for the Scotland boys, but after Monday they know that what they have to do. And again, I don't think they'll be overawed by the task. It's going to be difficult, but we've got players in that Scotland team who play in the Premier League in England. They know the English boys. They know what it's about. So we just hope that these guys rise to the occasion and our big players perform as much as their big players do.
There definitely has been that sense in the aftermath of Sunday, because I don't think anybody saw Croatia being that bad, regardless of all the retirements over the last few years. And I would contend that England's level has to be matched with Portugal and France and Italy, as opposed to getting a 1-0 win over Croatia when they're clearly by far the better team. So I know it's impossible to not overrate England when the media frenzy that surrounds them is unparalleled around the continent. But there does seem to be a little bit of an over-satisfaction with that performance, I find, with their game against Croatia.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I thought they talked the performance up more than it was entitled to be done. England were decent. I thought they were decent. Phillips. I mean, they had some good performances in the game, but equally Harry Kane, I thought, was by his standards off it. It'll be interesting to see how he clicks and progresses in the tournament. But yeah, I agree with you. I thought the reaction to the performance was more positive than it could have been. But equally, they got a result. They got a win. It got them off and running. So I don't think anyone's under any illusions from a Scotland point of view. England are a good team. They've got good players, got a good manager, very good manager. I'm really impressed with Gareth Southgate on and off the pitch, how he's handled things. But yeah, I do certainly think that the reaction to that performance and result, and I say certainly the performance was a little bit over the top, but we should maybe be used to that by now.
Has it been the other way then for Scotland? Has there been criticism that's been over the top for Steve Clarke in particular this week?
I think the reviews of the game, I think the opinions from the game have been quite fair, certainly from a media, from a press point of view. Scotland didn't play particularly well. I think we all accept that. I think people were surprised by the lineup. Obviously, Kieran Tierney being injured was a huge blow. He didn't play Shay Adams up front. He came on at half time. So there was certainly criticism in that sense in the way we played, but equally that game could have been 2 each. We could have won it 4-3. It could have been any score. It was actually quite a strange international game. If you look, there was actually a good number of chances at both ends. They could have scored 4 goals. We could have scored 4 goals. For an international game of football, I think that was actually quite unusual. But Scotland could have been played better. I don't think our big players, like John McGinn, by his standards, wasn't at the level he would have probably hoped. Scott McTominay the same. I do think our bigger players could have played better. But equally, we created a number of chances. We could easily have scored 3 or 4 goals. The opportunities were there for us to get something from the game. So had that game finished 2 each, and we're sitting here with a point, I don't think it would have been. I think that could have happened. So I think we have to be balanced. I was talking to Steve. The press were talking to Steve Clarke the other day, and that was the point that he was making, that it was a game of fine margins. It could easily have been different. Having said that, we could have certainly played better. But you look at that second goal, it was a freakish goal. You know, we criticise Jack Henry for taking the shot on. People were then criticising David Marshall for his positioning. But for me, it was a freak. Patrick Stick could have tried that. Could have tried that 20 times and he would have hit the net twice with it. So I think we have to just take the positives from the performance and hopefully take that into the England game tonight.
Has Clarke copped a bit of flack when it comes to his starting team selection?
Yeah, I think people were surprised slightly. Yeah, I say the Kieran Tierney situation with his injury affected the plan. There's no doubt Scotland had been working on that plan. Tierney and Robertson left-hand side probably for weeks, and that threw him and his plans. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But Scotland didn't play through the thirds. We didn't play through midfield. We seemed to go direct to Stephen O'Donnell wide right and Dykes up front, and it didn't suit us. I don't think we didn't do enough through the midfield, and as a consequence of that, I think it suited the Czech Republic. But in fairness to the Czech Republic, they nullified our midfield. They nullified John McGinn, Scott McTominay, and didn't let them play. As much as I'm saying our big players didn't perform, Czech Republic, in fairness to them, didn't let them perform. So that was something. But I hope at Wembley that we do try and play. That we try and actually play through midfield, because that's where Scotland have been decent in the last few months. We did it against Holland in a friendly a couple of weeks ago in Portugal. I hope that's what we do, and rather than trying to play off second balls, but going from kind of back to front, we should be beyond that now, and I hope that's how they play at Wembley.
Does it all come down to Kieran Tierney once again, and whether or not he's in the starting team?
I hope not, because I personally I'll be surprised if he is in the starting team. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it doesn't come down to that. I suspect Steve Clarke, having spoken to him a couple of times this week, I think he will be working on a plan without Kieran Tierney. If he manages to get the nod to play, then great. I think it would be a significant boost for Scotland. But equally, we can't just say if Kieran Tierney's not there, that's it. You know, we've got to be looking at other ways to get something from the game. That's essentially as well. We don't have to win the game. I think if Scotland can get a draw here tonight, it's still very much there for us. So as much as the first game was a hugely disappointing result, we don't have to go to Wembley and beat England. You know, I think we would all take a point right now. would all snatch your hand off for a draw. So it's not as if it's absolutely all pressure on. There is pressure on the players, but again, I wouldn't put it all down to Kieran Tierney, no, because I personally, I hope he's fit. I hope he's able to play. But if you were asking me right now, I would be surprised.
Because it did seem the other day, in fairness, that before we get into maybe the rest of the team, it did seem like Andy Robertson was as influential as you would have hoped, especially in that first half.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. For all that we are disappointed, and we talk about the Tierney situation and the Robertson situation down the left-hand side. Andy Robertson had a great chance at nothing each to score down the left-hand side. He got in and he put a great cross in from the left-hand side first half for Lyndon Dykes. He missed the target. Second half, with a number of balls that Andy Robertson put in from the left-hand side. Andy Robertson had a decent game. So you're right, for all that Kieran Tierney wasn't there, and it was definitely a blow to the team and the way that we played, we still created a number of opportunities from that side of the pitch. So again, that was one of the actual positives from it. It wasn't as if we were inept on that side of the pitch, far from it. We created a number of chances, and as I say, Andy Robertson should actually have scored in the first half. Why
didn't he start Shay Adams?
That's a good question, and we've asked him, and Steve will go down the route of kind of hindsight's wonderful, you know. I think if privately, I think he probably regrets it, but
right.
Yeah, it was a strange one for me. That was the one that surprised me. It didn't surprise me we didn't play with two strikers. There was chat that we may play with Dykes and Adams together, but I didn't think he would do that. I thought he would play someone off a striker like he did with Ryan Christie or even Ryan Fraser off the striker. But for me, yeah, it should have been Shay Adams. I think Scotland have gone to a lot of effort to get him into the squad, and he's looked really good for us in the games that he's played up until now. So had you asked me who would be the striker for us in that first game, I would have said Shay Adams all day long.
Right.
So, and that's no criticism, no major criticism of Lyndon Dykes, but for me, Shay Adams is a better player. They're different players, but yeah, that was a surprising one, absolutely.
You don't want to be thinking bigger picture on the day of an England game, because this thing is very much still alive for Scotland. But you do look at some of the pivotal positions and the age profile of players in some of those pivotal positions. Is there a sense that this could be a really important week in terms of learning those hard lessons that comes with tournament football?
Yeah, you could be right with that. I mean, Steve Clarke himself, I'm not saying he would consider his future, and I'm not saying he should, but you wonder how it could affect him if things were to go pear-shaped for Scotland in terms of his own position. I don't mean the SFA making a decision. He could. I'm not saying he will, but he could. So yeah, I do think we have to look at the bigger picture, but that's probably not for today. I think we have to look at here and now. We're at the tournament. It's been a long time since Scotland were at a major tournament. We've gone on about that since we qualified. 23 years is a long time. So it's still very much all to play for. We've still got 2 games, 2 very difficult games. But as I say, it's not over yet. And hopefully the guys turn up tonight and do themselves justice.
The sidelines have been very interesting over the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of assistance in the mix that a lot of people maybe didn't realise. Like, people will be looking at John Carver tonight and Stephen Reid tonight, and I mean there's a nice team building up there. Like, is there a sense that there's a good coaching team in place in Scotland and one to last into the future?
Yeah, very much so. Steve's got a great backroom staff there. You just say Stephen Reid's come in with a vast amount of experience from himself, what he did at club level and international level, and as you say, John Carver as well. I think he brings something to the coaching staff which livens things up. Should we say? Yeah, it's a good coaching staff. It's a good setup. The squad are very much united. You know, we've been there last week. They're based in the Middlesbrough training ground in the outskirts of Darlington, going there every day, speaking to the lads, and there's been a good spirit. You can clearly see it's not manufactured. It's clearly the guys are tight-knit, and that does come from the coaching staff as well. So yeah, I don't think there's any issues on that side of things. I think the team will be as well prepared as they possibly can be. Steve Clarke's a shrewd manager. He's a good manager for Scotland. As I say, he's due some slack. If he did make mistakes in that first game, which I think maybe you could argue he did, I think we need to cut him a bit of slack. He's got us to this tournament, and I don't think we can be too critical of him or his backroom staff.
Am I forgetting anyone then from the list of Scottish coaches outside of Scotland when it comes to Sean Maloney and that's it? What sort of impression have those Scottish coaches made abroad?
Well, yeah, you mentioned Sean Maloney, absolutely fantastic. Sean is one of the kind of bright lights, as you say, in European football now from a Scottish perspective, doing a fantastic job in gaining a vast amount of experience working with that Belgium national team. I know Sean, and I know how much work he puts into that job, and I think that will take him far in the future. He's destined for me to be a top manager, a top coach, and he can go as far as he likes in the game. For me, that's it's fantastic that we've got someone like that at the sharp end, at the top level, dealing with these players and getting an insight, because hopefully maybe one day that Sean might actually bring that experience to the national team at Scotland, and one day in the future, who knows, or certainly even at club level in Scottish football. So yeah, he is, you're absolutely right, he's one who is actually at the top level, and that's fantastic to see from a Scottish perspective, absolutely.
Yeah, certainly lots of different threads of positivity that you can pick out as well from the last couple of weeks for Scottish football. Before I let you go, Robert, prediction for tonight, how do you see it going?
Prediction, that's a difficult one. If I'm being honest, I think it could be a tough night for Scotland. But equally, I think one each. I think one each. I think Scotland are more than capable of getting a draw here if we get a slice of luck here and there. If our big players perform, if Scott McTominay, John McGinn, Shay Adams perform, I think we could get something from the game, absolutely.
Well, enjoy it as best you can, Robert. Great to chat to you as ever. Thanks a million.
Perfect, no worries. Thank you, guys.